Chapter 216 The Fate of 3 Lifetimes. This flashing repeated 3 times, and she arrived in front of the male students. Plop. At this point, the sound of water splashing rang out. K2 was too nervous, and tore his water lily. Fortunately, his reflexes were quick. He gathered his soul power instantly and pressed down with both his hands. With the powers of the controlling crane capturing dragon, he exerted a force and managed to propel himself into the air just before he fell into the water. Huo Yua didn't make a move. A huge cauldron suddenly appeared beside K2. Xiao was a little anxious as she said, "Come up." Once someone dropped into the water, he or she would be eliminated. At this point, she didn't bother with being embarrassed anymore. As lights flashed again, she had brought her cauldron in front of K2. K2 pressed his hands lightly against the 3 live soul crush cauldron. He lifted himself up and landed on the cauldron. As he was too agitated, his lips were actually trembling slightly. Xiao. K2 blurted out softly, "Yes?" Xiao lowered her head. "I'll treat you well. Okay. I really like you. Okay." No matter what K2 said, Xiao replied with only one word. She lowered her head and did not dare to look at him. After 2.5 years of separation, they were finally standing together. Their passionate hearts were getting closer and closer to each other. Zhang was untouched. Bei, you can do it. All right. Bei had fully regained control of his emotions. As he looked at Shu Sanqi and Zhang Nanan, as well as K2 and Xiao, he was delighted that they had all found their true loves. The fate of 3 lifetimes on the 3 live soul crush cauldron. K2, you must grab your opportunity well. Bei's called out. K2 shouted, "Eldest senior, I'll grab hold of this opportunity. No one else will choose me. Seniors and juniors, don't choose me anymore. I already have a date. Ha ha ha." K2's confession attracted a lot of laughter, and the atmosphere became much more relaxed. Xiao was still shy. As she reached her hand out, she slapped K2's neck and said softly, "You're like black charcoal. Who else is as stupid as me to choose you? You're too full of yourself." K2 chortled, "It's not painful. Slap me again. I'm scared that I'm dreaming." Xiao didn't slap him, but instead lightly caressed the spot she had just slapped. She said softly, "Aren't you willing to see me in your dream?" K2 touched his bald head. "I'm willing. Of course I'm willing. However, what do I do when I wake up if this is a dream?" Xiao finally smiled. "If this is a dream, you can sit down then." The 4th segment was still ongoing. Another lady appeared. This lady wore a hat and veil just like the number 2 student in front of Huo Yuao. As she appeared, she waved her right hand, and a streak of light appeared above the water surface. Huo Yuao's eyes were very sharp, and he was stunned to realize that it was a shuttle-type soul tool. That female student drifted onto the soul tool and stood on it steadily. Her figure glided slowly towards the male students. As she glided, she also removed her hat and revealed her charming looks. This lady looked like she was 17 or 18 years old. Not only was she very pretty, but her figure was also very proportionate. She revealed an apologetic look on her face and said, "My name is Ningtian. As I'm an auxiliary type soul master, I can only use the strength of my soul tool to keep my balance on the water. I am rank 54, an auxiliary type soul king. My martial soul is the 7 treasures glazed pagoda." Although she was hinting that she had no strength to float above the water's surface, no one thought that her abilities were weak. There weren't any weaklings in the inner courtyard. Furthermore, she also looked very young. When she mentioned her martial soul, the men were enlightened. The number 1 auxiliary type martial soul on the continent, the 7 treasures glazed pagoda. Of course, she was qualified to enter the inner courtyard. Even though she had no fighting abilities, she was definitely one of the strongest auxiliary type soul masters around. Huo Yuao was also enlightened. No wonder she had looked so familiar at first sight. She was actually Ningtian. After so many years, Ningtian's figure and looks had developed so drastically that he hadn't recognized her. Compared to before, she felt much simpler now. There was also a refined aura about her within the simplicity, which made others feel good about her. As an auxiliary type soul master, I need someone strong to protect me. That's why I'm choosing someone who can protect me. I believe I can help him reach the peak of the continent. She wore a smile on her face as she spoke, and glided out before the male students. No one doubted her words. There were many willing participants in the inner courtyard who wanted to protect her. With the aid of the 7 treasures glazed pagoda, their abilities were bound to rise at least by 40%. Once her 7 treasures glazed pagoda rose to become a 9 treasures glazed pagoda, she would have the power to change the outcome of a battle single-handedly. The eyes of the young men started to heat up. Even Dai Huabin's gaze flashed a little as he heard her words. Among the female students of the same grade, Ningtian was the only one who could attract him. She was even more attractive than Dalu. However, he possessed a martial soul fusion skill with Dalu, and they were very close. He couldn't choose his wife, and he hadn't come here today to find a girlfriend. However, he was tempted as he looked at Ningtian gliding over. Ningtian went straight for her target. Huo Yuao was still thinking about his impression of Ningtian from before. However, his eyes very quickly widened. That was because he discovered that she was approaching him. Surely not? Surely, before he even finished thinking those words, she was already close in front of him. She nodded towards him slightly, as if she didn't see the number 2 female student that was already in front of him. "In my eyes, you're the person who can protect me. I'm willing to follow you with the 7 treasures glazed pagoda. Can you give me a piece of ice?" Huo Yuao was in shock as their eyes met. Ningtian was a little shy, but the look in her eyes was very resolute. Yes, Huo Yuao was her choice, not because she liked him, but because he was strong enough. As she possessed the 7 treasures glazed pagoda, Ningtian was nurtured as the heir to the Sect master since childhood. She was outstanding in all aspects. However, she knew that she needed a strong protector before she could reach the peak of this world. Even though she had the strongest auxiliary type martial soul, choosing her partner was also the best chance for her to pick this protector. She only had one shot at this, and thus she needed to choose the best person that she could recognize. After 2.5 years, Huo Yuao had shocked everyone with his skills. He was already a soul king, although his rank wasn't very high. He had twin martial souls. Furthermore, Ningtian also knew that he didn't just possess twin martial souls. He even possessed the ultimate ice. He also had the snow lady, and was even a class 6 soul engineer. Most inner courtyard students weren't too interested in soul tools. However, Ningtian had a different perspective. Since she had no fighting abilities, she could use soul tools to attack. Due to her understanding of soul tools, she understood that a class 6 soul engineer was very strong. She was interested in Huo Yuao's abilities. As for feelings, she believed that they could be nurtured. She was also confident of attracting Huo Yuao with her talents. Being very self-confident, she still chose Huo Yuao even though the number 2 female student had already approached him earlier. Before Huo Yuao could even react, the snow lady pointed with her finger and created a patch of ice in front of Ningtian. After doing this, she even clapped her hands. She started to giggle. She gave off the feeling that everything was fine. "Thank you." Ningtian smiled elegantly and lifted the sides of her dress with both hands. She descended onto the patch of ice. 2 yellow, 2 purple and 1 black soul rings started to rise from her feet. As she lifted her right hand, a streak of bright light appeared in her palm. A 7-story pagoda flashing with dazzling lights appeared on her palm. As her soul rings drifted up, they eventually surrounded the pagoda. Under the illumination of her soul rings, the pagoda became brighter and brighter. Ningtian said softly, "This glazed pagoda has 7 stories. Strength, speed, soul, defense, attack." Suddenly, a weird scene appeared. The pagoda flew up and expanded. As her 5 soul rings shone in succession, 5 streaks of rainbow light were also released, and landed on Huo Yuao's body, engulfing him. In the dark night, he was covered by a rich array of colors. Instantly, he felt his cultivation soaring. It wasn't just his cultivation, his strength, speed, soul power, and other aspects were enhanced as well. Huo Yuao seemed to hear someone saying to him, 5 auxiliary skills unleashed at the same time. This is the scattered heart of 5 apertures. Not only has her cultivation increased to that of a soul king, but her control of the 7 treasures glazed pagoda has also reached that level. The lights around Huo Yuao's body retracted, but the enhancements remained. He even felt like he had become a soul emperor. Ningtian smiled and replied, "You used your soul skills just now. Perhaps you became a little tired. I helped you recover. When I reach rank 60, I can even perform elemental enhancements, which means I can enhance your ice element to become even more ultimate." Huo Yuao complimented, "Your 7 treasures glazed pagoda is indeed very strong." Ningtian smiled without saying anything. From the start, she didn't even look at the number 2 female student beside her. When she unleashed her 5 soul skills, she only had one intention, to attract Huo Yuao with her abilities. Without a doubt, his fighting abilities and survivability would increase greatly if he had support from a 7 treasures glazed pagoda to help him on the battlefield. The 5 soul skills she had just unleashed were strength enhancement, agility enhancement, soul power enhancement, defensive enhancement, and offensive enhancement. The simplest way to appraise her enhancements on Huo Yuao Yuao was that she raised him from a sulking into a sole emperor. This was too exaggerated of an increase. It clearly showed how strong she was. Her 7 treasures glazed pagoda wasn't called the number 1 auxiliary type martial soul on the continent for nothing. Although Ning Tian didn't look at the number 2 female student, she was secretly monitoring her all this while. It would be normal if she became sarcastic or antagonistic, but this female student had no reaction. She was so peaceful that Ning Tian found it weird. She only stood there from the start till the end, watching coldly. The 4th segment continued. After 2 more female students, it was finally the Golden Crow Holy Lady's turn. As she drifted out, her pair of golden wings flapped open behind her. The Golden Crow was a bird, a type of firebird rumored to be a close relative of phoenixes. Wu Ming's Golden Crow primordial fire wasn't at the level of the ultimate fire, but it was close. As her wings flapped, she had already flown into the air. My name is Wu Ming, and I'll be 32 this year. Everyone calls me the Golden Crow Holy Lady. I know that some people claim that I'm what is left over of the leftovers. I've no choice since I'm old. I'm just going to choose someone. Whoever rejects me is going to die. As she spoke, she dived down from the air. The bright golden flames behind her formed a dazzling trail. In the blink of an eye, she had already arrived in front of the male students. Please don't let it be me. This was the common thought in everyone's mind. Wu Ming wasn't ugly, and her cultivation was very high. Her age wasn't too big of a problem either. They were afraid of her temper. With her fiery temper, she was even more notorious than Ma Xiaodao. After all, she had entered the inner courtyard earlier. In addition, she was very competitive, so no one would have it good if they were together with her. Generally speaking, ordinary guys were more interested in gentle ladies. Wu Ming stopped in the air, and everyone started to become fearful. Then she moved suddenly. Her figure drifted down, and she landed in front of someone. As her wings flapped open, they pointed towards the water lily that one guy was standing on. Chu Qingtian was shocked when he saw Wu Ming. Honestly speaking, Wu Ming did appear slightly ravishing, illuminated by the golden flames in this dark night as she was. However, Chu Qingtian was perplexed as to why she appeared before him. What are you looking at? Give space on the water lily to me. Are you not a man? Wu Ming shouted. Oh. Chu Qingtian retreated in shock and gave her the water lily. Wu Ming was pleased with this reaction. At least he's willing to give it up. However, Chu Qingtian dropped straight into the lake water when she landed on the water lily. Splash. Ripples were formed, and water scattered everywhere. The male students were also shocked, and someone muttered, decisive, strong. Chu, Qing, Tian. Wu Ming raged, and her palm struck toward the lake water in front of her. A palm formed by golden flames struck the water, vaporizing a large volume of it. Chu Qingtian had only just resurfaced from the water at this point, but he was slapped back into the water by this palm. Fortunately, he was an agility type soul master. When he was struck back into the lake water, he was jolted awake. As lightning flashed, he flew out of the water and several tens of meters into the air. He managed to avoid the palm. Don't attack me. It was unintentional. Chu Qingtian shouted. He didn't flee. Although he was confident in his speed, he didn't run. He didn't want to be chased by the Golden Crow Holy Lady for the rest of his life. He had witnessed how strong Wu Ming was before. Once, she had chased a soul beast into the core region of the Great Stardo Forest after it ambushed her. If a human blocked her, she would kill him. If a soul beast blocked her, she would kill it. Am I that scary? Why did you have to jump into the water? Wu Ming placed her hands on her hips and straightened her body. As she thought of the indignation she suffered, her eyes started to tear up. She had liked guys before. She was also a normal lady. However, every guy that she had ever confessed to ran away from her in fear. As Chu Qingtian jumped into the water, she felt extremely slighted, and tears started to stream down her face. He was more willing to give up his opportunity in this blind date rather than be with her. No, don't misunderstand me. I was just too surprised, and didn't realize that it was water underneath me. Chu Qingtian tried to explain. Surprised? Wu Ming was stunned, and her tears stopped flowing. Although Chu Qingtian was drenched, he still looked at her with a deep gaze. I didn't expect you to choose me. You also saw how he Kaito reacted. Didn't he say that one of his legs fell into the water because he was scared of Xiao Xiao? It was because he was too excited. That's why he couldn't control himself. I'm in a similar situation, but my surprise was more intense. That's why I fell into the water. This shows how much more I like you. What? Is that really so? Wu Ming was in a daze from his flowery words. Chu Qingtian nodded his head resolutely. Of course. Think about what I said when I exhibited myself. In fact, I'm a person with no self-confidence. That's why I said I'd be willing as long as someone was willing to accept me. However, everyone has someone he or she likes no matter how inferior he or she feels. Maybe you don't remember, but there was once a batch of inner courtyard students went into the Great Stardo Forest to hunt soul beasts. That time, your courage and strength deeply attracted me. Although you're a lady, you're a true hero in my eyes. I can still clearly remember how you stood in front of me when I was attacked by soul beasts. From that moment on, your figure has been deeply carved into my mind. As he spoke till here, he lowered his head slightly and sighed. He said, however, I know that an outstanding lady like you will only choose the best. Why would you choose someone as ordinary as me? Besides speed, I've nothing outstanding. I'm not handsome either. That's why I could only watch you from one side. I didn't even have the courage to confess to you. It was only today that I acted impulsively in the first segment when I confirmed your position. That was why I didn't hesitate to take your hat. In fact, I didn't expect to have any fate with you today. I never hoped that you'd choose me. I only took your hat to take one more look at you on this blind date. Think about it. How can I not be agitated after my dreams have turned into reality? Eldest senior sister, please give me a chance to stand on the water lily again. If the rules don't allow it, then heaven must be playing a trick on me. After he finished speaking, he revealed a sad look on his face. Wu Ming looked at him in a daze. Are you for real? You've always liked me. Yes. Chu Qingtian nodded vigorously. At this point, most of the male students had a discriminatory look in their eyes. Is this guy pulling out a surprise? Surely not. This is more like a shock. However, his acting is impeccable and he's smooth. Wu Ming's been tricked by him. There weren't many male students who believed Chu Qingtian's words. Even Huo Yuao was in doubt. His spiritual detection was activated most of the time. That was how he could sense that Chu Qingtian's spiritual undulations were very intense when he spoke just now. However, it wasn't intense because his feelings were passionate. Rather, it was because he was very uncomfortable. His hands were also moving continuously behind his back, revealing the turmoil in his spiritual state. That was why his words weren't so credible. Wu Ming turned around suddenly and looked in the direction of Zhang Lesun and Bei Bei. Her eyes were tearing up as she said, eldest senior sister, there's finally someone who likes me. Please, I beg of you. Chu Qingtian's words went completely from the bottom of his heart. He had been observing her for some time, but not in a romantic way. However, he couldn't reject her in such a situation as he saw her tearing up. In addition, he didn't really dare to reject her. That was why he said what he did. He was even tricked by himself. Wu Ming turned around and begged Zhang Lesun with a hopeful yet sorrowful expression on her face. As Chu Qingtian saw the tears flowing down her cheeks, he felt greatly moved. He suddenly saw that she wasn't as scary as he had thought. The slight resistance he had in his heart disappeared quickly. Zhang Lesun sighed. In fact, everyone could tell that Chu Qingtian's words lacked sincerity even though they sounded flawless. But how could you reject Wu Ming, especially with those tears streaming down her face? Mina, you should know that the rules can't be broken. If I make this an exception for you, it won't be fair for everyone else. However, we know that there's always a single exception made in the sea god's fate. If everyone is willing to let you use this exception, then I think we can do it if everyone is moved by your feelings. However, I can let you make a new choice if someone proposes otherwise. Thank you, eldest senior sister. Wu Ming's voice suddenly turned excited, and she thanked Zhang Lesun. After that, she turned her attention to all the female students and said, today, I hope to leave with Chu Qingtian. I'm a direct person, so I won't say anything else. I hope that all of you will give me this chance. I'll remember this favor. If there's anything you need, just tell me. As Bei Bei looked at Wu Ming, he muttered, Sister Wu Ming is so steady. If she were a guy, she'd be really impressive. Zhang Lesun glanced at him and said, stop with the sarcasm. Do you really think Wu Ming can't hear the insincerity in Chu Qingtian's words? Don't judge her by her fierce appearance. In fact, very few know about her equally fierce intelligence. She doesn't want to be hurt again, and wants to fight for another chance for herself. That's why she didn't expose him. Let's see what Chu Qingtian's going to do. If he brings Mina back today and hurts her in the future, I won't let him go. Bei Bei turned fearful. In that instant, he clearly felt the seriousness in her words, and didn't even dare to look at her. Eldest senior sister, you should also find a guy. Zhang Lesun shot him a cold look. Shut up. Bei shut his mouth immediately and lowered his head. He even looked quite guilty. Sister, I'm sorry, Jiang said. It was my choice. What has it got to do with you? Since I made that choice years ago, I won't change it. All right, let's get back to official business. No one doubted Wu Ming's words. Whether it was because the male students were scared of her, or the female students shared a good relationship with her or wanted her to owe them a favor, they granted her the perfect ending she always wanted. All right. Since there are no objections, we shall grant this exception to Chu Qingtian. Thank you, eldest senior sister. Chu Qingtian was drenched as he leapt up from the water. Wu Ming gestured towards him, and he landed on the water lily. The water lily had a diameter of 1 meter, and thus it was fine for 2 people to stand on it together. It was just that they would have to stand rather close to each other. Chu Qingtian smelled a refreshing scent as he stood beside Wu Ming. It was the smell of a quilt laying in the sun. It was comfortable, clean and refreshing. Wu Ming took a look at him and said softly, if you're lying to me, I'm going to castrate you. Chu Qingtian's butt clenched, and he shook his head vigorously. Of course not. Wu Ming lifted his hand and softly placed it on his back. Suddenly, a warm flow started to engulf his body. His drenched clothing quickly dried up, but he wasn't burned by the heat. Wu Ming's control of the golden primordial fire had reached a high level. Wu Ming said softly, I'll try to be gentle with you. Okay. Chu Qingtian nodded his head. Of course. Do you think I'm not gentle enough now? I'll really be gentle with you. Wu Ming spoke with certainty. From Shu Sanqi and Zhang Nan to Hua Yao and Gu Fan to Yikeitu and Xia Xia to Chu Qingtian and Wu Ming now, there were already a few couples who had established their mutual feelings for each other. The 4th segment, destined in 3 lives, continued. After Wu Ming, it was Han Ruo's turn. After Han Ruo appeared, she pointed with her toes and glided out in front of the male students. There was a look of hesitation in her eyes. My name is Han Ruo. I'm sure all of you know about me. I'm older than Wu Ming. I'm probably the oldest student in the inner courtyard. Due to my cultivation, I delayed finding a partner. In fact, I don't know how to choose one today. To me, fighting has always been easier than finding a guy. That's why I don't know how to choose. Eldest senior sister, can I change my form in this segment? If someone likes me, I hope you can stand up and tell me. Otherwise, I'll leave today's blind date. Although Han Ruo called Zhang Lisan her eldest senior sister, she was older than her. Even Zhang Lisan didn't know how to reject her at this moment. Thus, she nodded and said, are there any male students who like Ruo? If there are, please stand up and fight for your own happiness. No one will laugh at you. They'll only wish you the best. Indeed, Han Ruo wasn't young. There weren't many male students who were close to her in terms of age. Moreover, everyone knew that Han Ruo was an 8-ring soul Douluo. In the inner courtyard, there wasn't anyone whose cultivation was higher than her apart from Zhang Lisan. Everyone felt proud of themselves for becoming a member of the inner courtyard, but it wasn't a pleasant thing for a guy's cultivation to be lower than his partner's. This was also the same problem that Wu Ming faced. That was why it wasn't easy for them to find a suitable partner. At times, being too outstanding wasn't exactly a good thing for a woman. No male student stepped up. Currently, they had all chosen to remain silent for various reasons. In the end, no one chose Han Ruo. She revealed a self-mocking and helpless smile on her face and sighed in her heart. Just as she was about to leave, a voice came from afar. I wonder if I make the cut. This voice didn't come from any of the male students. Instead, it came from the ferry. Following this, a figure leapt out from the ferry. He wasn't too quick. He had 2 yellow, 2 purple and 2 black soul rings, which rose from his feet. Streaks of flowing light flashed and turned into dim patterns which supported him in the air. He appeared at the crowd of male students as his figure flashed a few times. He was a middle-aged man who looked like he was 40 years old. He had 6 soul rings, which revealed his cultivation as a soul emperor. He was charming and had a refined demeanor. His deep eyes revealed a wise look. His martial soul was very special. Upon closer examination, people could tell that it was a long stick that emanated the light patterns. There were dragon patterns on it. The coiled dragon stick. Hua Yuao, Hikeitu and Bei were the first to be shocked when they saw this man. They recognized him, especially Hua Yuao. That was because this middle-aged man was once their class teacher, and he was the teacher that had led them to victory in the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament. Wang Yan. When they returned from the tournament, he was given the opportunity to carry out martial soul research in the library of the Sea Gods Pavilion. Hua Yuao had only seen him very infrequently since then, and hadn't expected him to show up today. Teacher Wang Yan. Han Ruo was also stunned when she saw him. She hadn't expected that no student would confess to her, but a teacher would. In terms of age, Wang Yan was indeed very suitable for her. However, he was a teacher. Furthermore, Wang Yan's cultivation was only at 6 rings. Today's blind date was destined to be extraordinary. Wang Yan looked at Han Ruo calmly. How are you, Ruo? I know that I'm being a little out of the blue. However, I also know that this is my only chance. I'm not young either. I'm already 40. I dedicated my life to researching martial souls. I know that my cultivation isn't high, and I'm not fit to be with you. However, just like Lasun said, one shouldn't be embarrassed about fighting for their own happiness. That's why I'm willing to walk out and confess my admiration for you. Han Ruo was in a daze as she looked at him and said, You're into me. Although Wang Yan's gaze was very calm, he possessed a form of sincerity that Chu Qingtian hadn't had before. He nodded slightly. It started about 3 years ago. I had just brought the team back from the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament. When I encountered problems in my martial soul research, I asked Ting Yan to find a few inner courtyard students to help me with my research. You were one of them. Those 2 months that we researched soul tools and martial souls together was probably the time that I was least focused on research in my whole life. I was captured by your sweet temper. However, I didn't know if that feeling was love, even though I'm so old. You left after 2 months. When you left, I felt that you had taken something from me along with you. It was only later that I realized it was my heart. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.